General Treatment Products W600, we want to set the relay to feed in acid based on the pH, okay, or feed in to correct our pH conditions. So honestly, could be two. Most of the times on a cooling tower like we're set up with this machine here, it's typically only feeding in acid. You don't never really feed in the caustic, but in a waste neutralization, I'll show you how we change it over and we can go ahead and feed the caustic in. So what we need to do, make sure that your pH is set up. Firstly, it is a two-step. Make sure that your inputs are ready, pH, and then now we can go to the outputs. So right now I've got bleed inhibitor, flow timer, biocide timer. There are 6 of them. Number 5 says manual. Just let you turn it on and off. I'm going to go ahead and set this one for the prompt that we need, or the mode that we need to do this is on-off set point. So I'm going to go ahead here. I'm going to pick on-off. And the on-off set point just means that I'm going to look at a sensor, read a value, and turn on if it exceeds it or decedes it, depending on which way we set the direction. So that's how we'll set the second one. So right now it's telling us it's off and all that stuff because we haven't set it up. Hand-off auto settings. Make sure it's on auto. Set point right now says 1,000 microsiemens. So right now I'm trying to feed based on acid, so it's not really coherent at the moment. So what we want to do first is come down here, make sure I didn't pass it up. What you want to do first is change your input. I'm feeding based on pH, so I'm going to change my input to pH. Now I'm going to go back up to those set points, and like I said, 7 and 2. See how it not changed over? So I'm going to go to my set points. I'm going to tell it 7, or if it gets to say 5 pH, or let's say it gets to 7, 57 would be wrong. When it gets to 7, it wouldn't let me do that if I went to hit enter. I have a dead band, which means where I want to shut it off. It's got a quarter, it's got 1/5 of a pH point. I'd rather have it at like a half a pH point, 0.5. And at the duty cycle, if you want it to come on for a certain amount of time every time it does, don't need it. Just like duty cycle is 100%. On delay, if you want to set an on delay time means is that you don't want it to react as fast. If its pH is jumping around quite a bit, you want to set a delay timer saying, listen, if it stays in the where you want it to come on for at least 5 seconds, then go ahead and turn on. But if you set a delay timer like of 10 seconds, it has to stay, in that area at the 10 seconds before it'll turn on. That way you don't get a bunch of false triggers. Okay? There's the off delay. Again, on the other one, on the other side of that, when you tell it to turn off, you set it for an off delay timer. Output limit timer. You want to set it for, don't want to feed, especially for feeding acid, you want to feed it for 20 minutes or so. It'll mess everything up. Make sure that you have your interlocks on D1. Activate with channel something else that doesn't make sense in this case. Minimum relay cycle, if you want to make sure it stays on for 30 seconds every time it comes on. Not necessarily with it. Hand limit time, love the hand limit time. Set it for 10 minutes. If you walk away or you set it at 10 minutes, turn it to hand. It'll feed in your product for 10 minutes and then come back. Just say you wanted to give it a little boost of acid. There you go. Reset total time. That just keeps track of how long it's been on. Now, force direction. So we already changed the input to pH. But the force direction, you got to force higher or force lower. So here's where we decide, are we pumping in acid or are we pumping in caustic? The set points that we're on there still don't have a direction until you come to here. Right now it says forcing it lower. So when I reach 7, this relay is going to come on and it's going to force the reading lower. If I'm pumping acid, it's exactly right. If I have it here on force higher, when it gets to 7, it's going to force it higher. Now I'm pumping caustic. Okay, so that's basically what you're talking about there. You want to make sure that that's set on force lower for acid and force higher. And right now it says on off. That does not make sense. So definitely I'm going to hit the uppercase. I'm going to put in P, H. I'm going to hit. Okay, or I'm going to come back to it, which may be more appropriate. Acid. C-I-D. Okay, make it say acid pump or something like that. That way, for sure, people know that you've renamed this and this one here is for the acid. Okay, there you go. Acid pump set up.